And we've reached our start time. I'll wait for your cue.
Okay. Trustee Watson, we are ready to begin the audit committee when you are.
Yes, good morning. Welcome to the 242nd meeting of the audit committee, Tuesday, August the 4th. Can I get a roll call by the chair, please?
Yes, the record will reflect that trustees Watson, Evans, and Nikozison are present online, and trustees Wabi and Carrington are present in the room.
Can I get a motion to approve the committee meeting minutes June 30th, 2026?
So moved. Second.
Okay, there are no comments by the chair. We have presentation this morning from Clifton Lawson Allen. Good morning, Todd.
All right, we're going to turn it over to Andrew Zabel from Clifton Larson Allen, and he's going to walk through audits of the retirement plans.
Yep. Thanks, everyone. Thank you. My name is Andrew Zabel. I'm the principal and individual ultimately responsible for both the benefit plan audits as well as the ACFR audit for the Metropolitan St. Louis Sewer District. I'll keep this to a pretty quick presentation, but this is covering just the benefit plans. The benefit plans have a December 31st year end. The sewer district runs on a June year end. So if you want to go down to the next slide. So this audit covers the pension plan, which is a frozen plan, the defined contribution plan, and the deferred compensation plan and trust. So, it's largely an audit of these investments and the contributions that are made to this plan, both from the employees and the employers. Last year, is just to refresh you guys, we had some minor findings over the contribution rates from some employees. It's good to note that we did the same level of testing this past year, and there were no issues with those contribution amounts. So that matter from the prior year seems to be remediated. Overall, strong internal controls. And then if you want to go to the next slide, here's where we talk about our risk-based approach. We really focus on the investments, the benefit payments, as well as the contribution to the plan. There are some non-alternative investments which carry more difficult valuation risk that pose to the audit. So, more time is allotted to those higher risk areas. If you go to the next slide, it is really just a snapshot of how the three different plans have performed. If I were to give you the scores and highlights, the investment income still, yielded well from this past year. So, I think you guys are getting really strong returns, which is nice because in theory, right, that's going to reduce the amount of required contributions to the plan. The pension plan specifically is in a really strong position because that is a frozen plan, so that number's, slightly ticking down each year. If you want to go about 3 more slides. There you go. So overall, our opinion is an unmodified opinion. Like I said, the internal controls, there's no internal control findings that we have to report. If you go down 2 more slides, we talk about corrected and uncorrected misstatements. If you want to go 1 more, there you go. Sorry, back up. There you go. So we did have 1 uncorrected misstatement. Like I said, the alternative investments, it's just that we have this every year, so it's nothing to be concerned about, but it's the timing that you get the valuation of these alternative investments. You guys close the books, and oftentimes we're not actually getting this information until May or June of the year. So it's not a material difference, but it's material for us to at least communicate it to you guys. We audit a lot of pension plans throughout the U.S. and government plans, and, I would say about 80% of them have this uncorrected error in here, so it's nothing to be concerned about. If you go to the last slide, here's my contact information. In addition to that, Stacy Young is the individual that's responsible for the benefit plans. We're here to support you guys and those charged with governance, so if there's anything that ever gives you concern, here's our contact information. Please reach out. But overall clean audit results and, nothing further communicated. If you have any questions, I can address any.
All right, Andrew, does not sound like there are any questions, so thank you for coming
Yep.
in this morning.
Yep, thank you. Yes.
All right. And then you're welcome to stay.
I'll listen to the internal audit.
All right, and then now I'm going to turn over to Todd for his review of the district's diversity
Yeah,
program.
good morning, everybody. So as Tim mentioned, this was a review of the district's diversity program. So I want to mention, we do have two of the team members that worked on it. We have Megan Burton, you've met her before. We have Thurman Brooks, you have not met. He's worked on a lot of other audits as in addition to this one. Treasury, call center. We'll help him with the safety audit right now. So I was wondering, they do really good work, so when you guys meet them. So if we go on to slide 2 there. So I want to give you a little background on this, on our diversity program, since a lot of guys weren't here when this got started. This is the third time we've audited this area. So the last audit was 2020. There's a timeline there on slide 2, I'm sorry. So you can see the timeline we left to right. The current version of the district's diversity program dates back to the execution of the consent decree, which was in 2012. So at that time, the district kind of had a small diversity program in place. I think management at the time realized, with some input from the CBA signatory entities, that a more robust or effective program was needed, especially with all the construction that was going to be worked on, as part of the multi-billion-dollar capital improvement replacement program, with the consent decree going into effect. So at that time, in 2012, Shauna was hired. It was basically her mission to develop and grow this new program into what it's become. So she did a really great job at that. A few key dates on there. Consent decree was April 2012. First disparity study was published in February 13. The CBA, Community Benefits Agreement, was executed in December 13. At that time, we had 8 signatories. We do have 12 now. 2014, the BUD and First Source program started. BUD is still operating. We do that. That's still continuing. First Source didn't really work out, so we got rid of that program. So this, again, the second disparity study was published in January of 22. That is the disparity study that we're operating currently under. So that's what we're using right now. The division currently has 12 employees, which you'll see at the next page I'll show you. The one thing I wanted to mention, we are not really going to get into the numbers for this audit. We're look at the processes. Shauna provides those numbers to you twice a year, so we don't want to get into that too much. If you go to slide 3. So as of 26th, the division does have 12 employees as listed below. Sean is the manager of diversity programs. There is a diversity construction supervisor, a program administrator. It's kind of like the office manager, so to speak. There are 4 compliance specialists who all report to Shauna. Then there's 5 compliance inspectors who all report to the construction supervisor. Those are the inspectors that go out to the sites and look at the vendors and the workforce and so forth. The district currently has 9 diversity policies in place. You see it all listed there. They're all on the district website, other than number 7 is being edited. That one will be put back up soon. So if you go to slide 4. The policies that I just mentioned basically have two main sets of utilization or goals, percentage goals: vendor utilization goals and workforce. Now, when you talk about the vendor utilization, 2 things we have to keep in mind. We always want to make sure the vendor is performing a commercially useful function. And they also had to be certified. Had to be certified by one of the agencies that we accept, which is the 2 agencies that we use are St. Louis Development Corporation and Missouri Office of Equal Opportunity. Now, with the workforce, that's the boots on the ground. You guys always hear that term, boots on the ground. That's those goals. Now, with the design contracts, there really are no boots on the ground, obviously. Now, when we do that, we look at the local workforce at the office, or the force that's working on the project. The overarching principle and requirements for these policies, kind of in a nutshell, is that the contractors either achieve the goal percentages or successfully perform or demonstrate good faith efforts, as they're outlined in the policies. Any questions? Slide 5, scope. Scope was engagement consisted of review the administrative processes utilized by the district, again, to manage the diversity program. The scope period was the 2-year period of July 1st, 23 through June 30th, 2025. So we basically looked at contracts and projects that either had some activity during that period. They either started or had some ongoing activity, or they were finalized during that period. Slide 6, overall objectives were to ensure the accuracy, design, effectiveness and implementation of the controls and processes. First, we want to get an understanding of the structure of the diversity division, understand the different roles within the departmental roles, the different personnel that worked in the division. It's identify the controls, look for any procedural gaps, that kind of thing. The big item really was to make sure the requirements of the diversity policies are being followed and complied with. So basically, within the project contract, there are basically 5 different stages. There's the pre-award, there's the initial evaluation, there's a post-award where they do some certain things they do right after the award, and then there's kind of the during the project compliance monitoring, that's where they monitor workforce, vendor participation, payment verifications, and so forth. Then there's the final evaluation, and that determines, how did the contract perform under the diversity guidelines, so forth. All right, slide 7, more objectives. Want to make sure the process and systems capture the data are effective. Now, we didn't spend a lot of time on that because the system's going away. The system they're using right now is going to be gone, hopefully by the end of this year. They have a new system that's being developed and should be implemented within the next 3-4 months. Want to make sure your district is compliant with the requirements of the disparity study, the cumulative benefits agreement. Want to make sure the program such as BUD are accurately monitored and operating effectively. Division expenditures, we want to make sure those were reasonable and appropriate. Slide 8, methodology. How did we go about the audit? Again, we had our normal process of meeting with the team, with their team, and doing walkthrough procedures, lots of meetings in the beginning, especially in the beginning. A lot of communication throughout this audit, back and forth. We did become familiar with all the agreements and contracts and such for this area: disparity study, community benefits agreement, the nine different policies. Slide 9. We did obtain access to the reporting system. We used it to help us with our testing. Again, that system is going to go away. It will be replaced, hopefully with something that's better. We did obtain access to the diversity network drive. I was able to go into their drive and pull down documentation that we needed for our testing. And I gave it to our team for the testing. It worked really well. So we did test, as I mentioned, we used that document to test different projects at the various stages in the different policy categories. We did review the reporting and underlying support, China's report. We look at the underlying support for that. Tested for compliance with this disparity study. Same thing with the CBA. Again, review the monitoring and the performance of the BUD program. They do submit reports to us. The Missouri Works Initiative, they submit reports to Shauna's to keep us abreast of what's going on in that program. We did review the disbursement register for the entire scope period. Just look at all the disbursement, make sure there's nothing that looked unusual in there.
Can I pause you for a second?
Yeah, sure.
You said a couple of times now that this MDR system is going to be replaced.
Yes, sure.
And then I just heard you say for something that's going to be better.
Yeah,
What
it's
is it
not
that's-
supported right now, and it's security, has some security issues, which everybody's aware of in IT, and they take steps to address it. And it hasn't been a real user-friendly system for the contractors. I think the one they're going to put in will help that process for them submitting their documentation and so forth. So
But
it's,
fundamentally, it won't change any internal processes that the diversity supplier team is actually having to go through. Is it giving it better reporting? What is it?
I think it will give better reporting and better workflows, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Shauna, do you have anything you want to add to
Yeah.
that?
No, it's designed, it'll be designed to more automate some of the processes that are manual right now.
Yeah. It's a good question, though. I guess one thing I wanted to point out, we have another second pen report coming up, but the one we did last year, we already addressed this issue around the system. Everybody knew about it, but they wanted us to look at it, so we could really identify what the issues were as far as security. So let's go to slide 10. So we did have a generally satisfactory opinion. Now, the reason for that is in one particular area. I'm sorry, the reason for that, the number of occurrences and exceptions in one particular area were well, I say excessive. Otherwise, everything looked really good. The one area was non-compliance with 60-day project workforce plan submissions. That was just one problem area that needed to be addressed. And then we have a second item regarding the community benefits agreement, which is a fairly minor item, but something since we did test against it, I felt like we needed a report on it. So let's talk about that first item, non-compliance with 60-day project workforce plan submission requirements. This is something that occurs during that post-award stage, right after they do the award to the contractor. For construction contracts over $500,000, the prime is required to submit a 60-day workforce plan. That submission is required to occur 15 days prior to mobilization. The idea is to kind of get them set up, so that set themselves up for success, so to speak, and help them head in the right direction with the project. Now, for 4 of the 19 projects that we tested, the attribute, the workforce plan was not, for 4 of the 19, they did not have the workforce plan. After a little additional review, we determined that all 4 exceptions belong to one contractor. Now, with that information in hand, we decided to do some additional testing. So we did 10 additional contracts. There's 6 contracts for the non-compliant contractor and 4 contracts for other contractors. Now, we did this additional testing. We found 3 additional instances of noncompliance by that same contractor. We also identified another instance of noncompliance for another contract. So in all, we had 8 instances of noncompliance, but 7 belonged to one contractor. So at that point, in my mind, we kind of have 2 issues: a general issue with receiving the 60-day work plan, and then a more specific issue with the specific contractor because they're not complying. So we did a little more work. Slide 12. So what we did find out is that contractor did.
Todd, if you don't mind,
Sure.
You tested 19 projects,
For that particular attribute, yes.
and how many projects are there in the total universe of?
Oh,
What is it? 19.
we actually did 30 total, but there's only 19 applied to that attribute. As far as the whole universe, hundreds.
Yes, we, at any given time, we'll have up to 200 active projects going at one time.
But are you, and Brian, tell me if I'm wrong here, are you asking then, are we saying only 30 of them fit that criteria for over $500,000?
No, we did 30 projects
Right.
in
So-
total. And then within the 30, we had a mixture of different categories. 19 of those 30 fit into that category of over 500,000. They have that attribute that they require the 60-day work plan.
So with the first 19, 20% of them weren't compliant.
With that, yeah, with that
the-
attribute,
With
correct.
the additional 10 you added, another
Another,
30% were non-compliant.
correct. So that's why,
So how does that, I guess that might
Yeah,
be,
thank
Right.
you. Thank you, Counselor.
so how does that reflect the total of, if you say there's over 200 any given point in time, does that require a deeper dive to actually look to see what the real non-compliance rate is beyond just the 30 that were done? I mean, because 30 of the 200, say 200,
Right. I think we, at that point, we determined that we have an issue here, that the issues are, the processes around the procedures for obtaining these plans are not adequate. They're not working properly. That's why we issued a general satisfactory opinion. It's kind of an except for. Everything looks good except for this. It's a significant deficiency.
So I think it's normal to sample when you're doing these to determine if you have a problem. Found a problem, expanded the sample a little bit, just kind of verified there is an issue. So the goal of the audit wasn't to identify every issue of noncompliance. It was to recognize whether or not there was an issue. There is,
Right,
and then create steps to fix it, regardless of who and how many. And then, like we said, 8 of the 7 of the 8 were just with one contractor. So
Right.
Yeah, I hear that. and
we're
I
not
think-
saying there aren't other issues with other contractors, but the steps that would be put in place to remediate will apply to everybody.
Right.
Was that
kind of the point.
Was it one contractor on one project, or is it one contractor?
Different contracts, different contracts.
okay.
Various, yeah,
But the
various
same-
contracts.
But the same contractor?
Yes, yes, sir.
Do we think that there was an issue communicating our expectation with that contractor?
No, I do not. The communication was more than adequate.
And there's more on the contractor.
Yeah,
Here,
we got,
too.
there's some
Oh,
more.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, that's fine.
No,
Yeah.
that's all right.
No, we, the communication was, on that part of it, I think the real issue was around the tracking and the enforcement. But the initial communication was, there was abundance of communication on the front end. So I guess, so what we did find out regarding that contractor, that there were 3 workforce noncompliance letters issued and a warning letter. All because they did not meet the workforce goals and they were not complying with the good faith efforts documentation as well. So as I mentioned earlier, you got to do one or the other. In addition to that, they were suspended in August of '24 by engineering for a combination of things. Partially for their engineering performance, they were not submitting project schedules, shop drawings, submissions on time, and then also partially because of their noncompliance with the diversity error. So they were suspended for 6 months. Then they were put back on a list after they kind of got their act together. But there are annual contractor evaluations currently going on right now, and they will be reevaluated as part of that process based on their most recent performance in both diversity and within the engineering realm, so to speak. So as to that contract, I don't think we have a recommendation other than I think they're on top of it. They're again going to reevaluate them right now, and then whatever I'm sure what that termination.
When you said them, okay, Jason, got it.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, engineering, and it's a combination of diversity and engineering. Diversity also has a rating as a part of that process.
Sure.
So, any questions? So our recommendation of the next page is really around the general process to ensure that we do receive the 60-day workforce plans timely and do actually receive them. So Sean and her team, I think we're very receptive and proactive regarding this item. They've already taken several steps. Again, the initial communication was not an issue. It's in the receipt and the tracking and making sure we know we're missing it, and then we go back to them, say we're missing this, or don't let them move forward. So they've taken some steps in that area. They've changed the way it's received. They've changed how they track it. They add additional training to their folks within the department. And I think engineering is also going to participate in making sure that this 60-day thing is received. And they're not going to let them move forward until they get it.
Do we know if in this particular case, if the goals were ultimately met?
Yeah, I do. That's another, I guess I should mention. If you have this plan, there's no guarantee you're going to make the goals. We saw situations.
They're goals. They're goals, but still.
Yeah, right, yeah. So on the 3 times they actually submitted the plan, they actually 3 out of 10. On On one of them, they did not meet the goals. One, they're on track, so it's still going on. The other one, they're not on track. Now, for the 7 that did not submit the plan, 3, they did not meet the goals. One's too early to tell. 2 are on track, and then 1 met the goal. So it's 3 for sure they did not, when they did
And
not.
this is one contractor
Yes.
that has multiple contracts that isn't attempting, or, yeah. Just strikes me as something we should probably investigate substantially more, and thanks for bringing this to our attention.
Sure. Oh, sorry, I got kind of brain cramp there. So let's move on. So with that, we'll move on to slide 14. So as I mentioned earlier, we did test against the CBA's provisions to make sure we're in compliance with it. So one of the provisions, because it's not a huge deal, but it's something we thought we needed to bring up. The community benefits agreement was executed back in 2013. It has a provision in there for a monitoring oversight committee, and what it says is the district and signatories shall form or monitor oversight committee. 3 persons from the district, 3 persons from the signatories. They're supposed to meet once per quarter. Now, currently, the oversight committee does not meet. The last meeting occurred in 21. I'm sure COVID has something to do with that, but the meetings have not resumed. And Sean and our team do send those semi-annual reports that you guys see here to the signatories. They ask if they have any questions, anything you want to talk about. They don't really get a lot of response. It's IA's understanding that this approach was agreed to verbally by the district and the signatories, and by all accounts, the signatories are happy with the program. But our concern is the current procedures just they're not congruent with the language in the agreement. So our recommendation is update the agreement to the language that matches the policy, the procedures that are actually being performed, and to get everybody to sign off on it. That's our recommendation, just to be safe.
And we'll follow up with that. There's a couple other things in the CBA that need to be addressed as well. It's on our to-do list.
Any questions? No, that's all I have.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you, Todd.
Thank you, Mr. Watson.
Next meeting tentative date is September 1st, 2026. Can I get a motion for adjournment, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, we'll get set up for the program management meeting and get going here in just a minute.
Order the meeting of the Program Management Committee, 280th meeting in Program Management Committee. Can we get a roll call?
Yes, the record will reflect, again, that trustees Wabi and Carrington are present in the room, and trustees Watson, Evans, and Nicholasison are present online.
Can I get a motion to approve the meeting minutes from July 30th?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. There are no comments by the chair. Engineering Department, Jay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Trustees, first item on the agenda is CSO Volume Reduction Green Infrastructure Project for Greenhouse Ventures, Project 14525. Location of the project is at 3966 DeTonti Street in the city. This request is necessary to enter into agreement with Greenhouse Ventures. The ordinance authorizes the district to enter an agreement with Greenhouse Venture to provide financial assistance through a green infrastructure grant program for construction of green infrastructure. The purpose of the project is to reduce combined sea river flows into the Mississippi River per the long-term control plan. The project will reduce runoff volume from installation of 3 bioretention basins. The total cost of the project is estimated at $27,450. And Greenhouse Venture is requesting approximately $27,450 in reimbursement. Any questions? That's the only green infrastructure project this month. All right. The next 3 items are related to construction bids that have come in. First project is Christopher Hills Pumping Station, P468 Rehabilitation 13441. This is a project that's located in unincorporated St. Louis County. The ordinance is necessary to appropriate funds and authorize staff to enter into a construction contract with Corrigan. The work to be done under the contract consists of the rehabilitation of the existing pump station and appurtenances. The purpose of the project is to rehab the pump station. And we had 5 bidders on the project. The low bid was $452,999.98. Just to pass a joke here, I think this is like The Price is Right. You know, we don't want to go over. The appropriation amount we're requesting is $486,000. That includes a $10,000 utility and some contingency, and they are meeting their MBE goals for the project. Any questions? Thank you. Next project is the Wyland Drive 5743 Storm Improvements 13626, also located in unincorporated St. Louis County. This ordinance will appropriate funds and authorize staff to enter into a construction contract with T&T Contracting Company. The work to be done under the contract consists of the construction of approximately 356 linear feet of pipe sewers, varying in size from 12-inch to 15 inches in diameter and appurtenances. The purpose of the project is to alleviate structure and yard flooding. We had 4 bidders on the project. The low bid was $143,452.88. We're requesting an appropriation of $223,000. That includes $65,000 for utility locations and some contingency, and they're meeting their MBE goal. I'll also point out this is a project that's being funded out of the new Prop S funding. So this is another project. Those are going pretty well. And we've got one more on the way. In addition to that, that's the Golfview Drive. That's the next agenda item. Golfview Drive, 680 Storm Improvements, project number 13395, also located in Baldwin. Excuse me, that one is located in Baldwin. Ordinance is necessary to appropriate funds and authorize staff to enter into construction contract with Fred Luth and Sons. The work to be done consists of the construction of approximately 145 linear feet of pipe sewers, varying in size from 18 inches to 21 inches in diameter and appurtenances. The purpose of the project is to alleviate structure and yard flooding. We had 9 bidders on this project. The low bid was $132,500. The appropriation requesting is $215,000 to include those utility locates and some contingency, and their MWB goal is being met. I'll just give you a high-level overview right now on the construction side for what we're seeing on our Prop S funding. Bids are coming in really nicely. I'm hoping that trend continues. If it does, I think we're going to be able to bring you some more projects this year, so we're pretty excited about that.
Is that a function of our estimates being higher than I mean, will we look,
I think it's a function of competition. Look how many bids we're getting.
Yeah.
And I think the contractors like this work. I do.
Why is that?
Well, I
It's
think
easy.
it works well with their schedules. They're not big projects. And so this works well if they're between two things, they could fit it in. And we're pretty flexible on the construction scheduling, so everybody works together and we get a good price.
Good.
Yeah,
Keep
that's
it
what
up.
we see so far.
Good.
I don't often get to come to you with the bids are coming in
You've
lower,
only
so I
been here,
want to point that
you've
out.
only been here a couple times. You got plenty of time to mess this up.
The next projects, or next two projects are design plan supplemental appropriations. The first project is Coldwater Section B, C, and D. Section B Rehabilitation Phase 2, 13560. This is, the location of this project is in various places in northern St. Louis County, Berkeley, Bridgeton, Florissant, Hazelwood, St. Anne, and unincorporated St. Louis County. Excuse me. An ordinance is necessary to appropriate funds and authorize staff to amend an existing design contract with WSP USA, formerly Wood Environmental. The ordinance authorizes the district to amend a contract with WSP for the design of Coldwater Section B, C, and D, Section B Rehabilitation Phase 2 project as part of the Watershed Consultant Services for all projects included in the Bissell, Coldwater, Missouri, Merrimack Sanitary System Improvements Project. This is a lump sum cost project for the design of rehabilitating approximately 20,600 feet of 54-inch to 66-inch diameter sanitary sewers, utilizing cured-in-place pipe methods and rehabilitating 5 manholes. The purpose of this project is to rehabilitate the deteriorating trunk sewer and alleviate overcharged sanitary sewers. The construction cost estimate for the project is about $14 million, and construction is anticipated to begin in fiscal year 2029. Any questions about the project? Next project is the South County Relief Pump Station, P419 improvements. Again, this is a planned supplemental for design. The project's located in unincorporated St. Louis County. It authorizes funds and authorizes staff to amend a design contract with TWM. The ordinance authorizes the district to enter into amendment number 3 to contract with TWM for engineering during construction phase services of the South County Relief Pump Station. The purpose of the project is to replace pumps, motors, VFDs, and control panels, improve operator safety by relocating the existing discharge header and valves from the lower level of the first floor, improve the station capacity with the installation of a wet weather storage system, and address structural deficiencies through concrete repairs and replacement in the overhead crane system. This appropriation is primarily for construction phase services and is equal to the proposed funding for the project, which is a planned $125,000, and their MWBE goal is being met. Any questions about that? Okay, great. The next 6 items are funding, appropriations, and contract amendment requests associated with engineering and operations support services. The first project is our flow metering and monitoring 2027-12802 project. It's a district-wide project. This, again, is going to authorize appropriation of funds and authorize staff to enter into contract with ADS Services. The purpose of the contract is to provide district staff with flow and level information and separate sanitary, combined, and storm sewer systems at approximately 300 locations annually for durations ranging from 3 months to 12 months. The data is a diagnostic tool that we'll use to meet consent decree requirements, refine hydraulic models, determine project effectiveness, and support inflow in infiltration investigations. The contract for the flow metering monitoring is $2.5 million for this year, and it's renewable for 4 additional years based on performance for a total contract maximum award of $12,500,000. There is no MWB goal for this contract, but they are committed to 6.5% WBE. Any questions? All right. The next project is the CCTV inspection and physical inspection of sewers 2026, project number 12805. Also a district-wide contract. The ordinance will appropriate funds and authorize staff to amend a contract. This is a planned supplemental appropriation of $3 million. The ordinance authorized the district to enter into the first option year of the contract with Ace Pipe Cleaning. The purpose of this contract is to provide district staff with information regarding sewer condition by the use of closed-circuit CCTV inspection. These inspections will determine sewer conditions and will form the basis of preventive maintenance activities, inflow and infiltration investigations, and sewer system modeling work. Sewer cleaning will also be performed. After this amendment, the total contract appropriation will be $6 million, and the contract is renewable for up to 3 additional years based on performance. There is no MWB goal on this project. However, they are committed to 28%. This is a longstanding project, and they know what they're doing. They've been doing this for a little bit.
This is the cameras that go in.
That's correct.
Can we get information about like the stuff around the sores? We talked about this in the past. Like, is this the way we do it?
I'm going to bring you a different project that looks into those kinds of issues.
Oh.
So that's coming here in just a minute.
Oh.
So
See,
this
so
one
you're
is really,
somewhere.
these next 2 projects, the CCTV inspection, those are really on wastewater and stormwater projects district-wide. And then we have a different project for doing investigations that I'll talk about in just a second. So this 2026-12805 is a supplemental appropriation. The next project, which is CCTV inspection and physical inspection of stormwater and combined sewers 2027-14453, is also a district-wide contract, but this is a new contract to do additional CCTV work within the district, focused primarily on stormwater and combined sewers. So you recall within the last couple of years, we've had several cave-ins. And this is work that we're doing. We're adding more investigation work that we're doing in our system to identify those places where we need to be doing work faster. Kind of, for some perspective, for every mile that you investigate of sewers on a ballpark, about 5% of the mileage that you'll investigate needs some kind of rehab work. So the more investigation work you do, the more mileage you identify. That's been our experience. And so that's where we're at right now. We've done a lot of work, good work in the system, but we're getting to a point where we need to do more investigation work to find those places where they're kind of hidden. And we're focusing on those places that are highest risk first. And
So
that's what this new contract is for.
Can you kind of talk about what's the difference of the scope between what Ace Pipe Cleaning is going to be? I mean, because if they're looking through the pipe system for preventative maintenance issues, are they not capturing some of that?
They are.
Okay.
So the difference is that the 12805 project, the CCTV, that's both wastewater and stormwater and combined. It could be any of the 3 systems, okay? The second project is the stormwater and combined system only. So there's got to be stormwater flow in the system. And the main reason is that those cave-in projects have happened in those bigger stormwater pipes, especially the older ones, and that's where this is focused. So the first project could be anywhere in any type, but the second project, this 14453, is really focused on these larger stormwater pipes that have been the problems for these cave-ins.
What action, so let's assume, and I know this is probably a little off topic here, or probably on topic, but inappropriate kind of place, form. But if we find a problem in the combined system, what's the course of action?
Yeah, there's an automatic, I would say automatic, I mean, there's an automatic workflow here that kicks off to rank that problem in terms of priority and get it on a different contract to get it repaired. And depending on the degree of severity, that repair might take 6 months or it might take 6 years, depending on how severe it is and what it takes for us to get the engineering side. Some of these sewers, like the Middle Broadway one, are pretty deep, right? And that takes some more thinking and looking into. So,
do we engage city water?
Absolutely.
So I mean, in that workflow, it's like, oh wow, we got a problem. One of the possible sources is a water leak.
Yep.
Okay.
We do. I will say that we do engage with them. However, usually when we engage with them, it's about needing to relocate or move their line in order to do our repair. Because we can't rely on them to repair our line.
No, I got you.
That makes sense.
Is there any rationale for us to fix it, their problem, to avoid our problem?
Usually, once we repair our sewer in a manner that allows us so that even if their infrastructure fails, it doesn't affect us any further from that point on.
Does that cost us more?
Not necessarily. If we get, what costs us more is having to do and dig.
Right.
If we can fix our sewer in place with lining, regardless of what's around it, we're in good shape.
Thanks.
You bet. All right, CCTV inspection and physical inspection of stormwater and combined sewers 2027-14453. District-wide contract, appropriation funds, and authorizing staff to enter into contract with Trek Design Group. The purpose of the contract is to provide district staff with information regarding sewer condition by the use of a CCTV inspection, physical inspection, and sewer cleaning. These inspections will determine sewer conditions and will form the basis for preventive maintenance activities, inflow and infiltration investigations, and sewer system modeling. Sewer cleaning will also be performed. This contract for CCTV inspection and physical inspection of sewers is for $1 million. This contract is renewable for up to 4 additional years based on performance. And this project, again, because it's focused on stormwater systems, is going to be funded by the district-wide stormwater fund, the 5120 fund, which is what we also call the 10-cent tax. So that's the 10-cent tax, the O&M fund. Any questions? More questions about that? Okay. Next project is our radar rainfall data 2025-12816, also a district-wide contract, appropriating funds and authorizing staff to amend a contract to exercise the second of a 4-year option of the contract. The ordinance authorizes the district to amend a contract with View and Associates. The contract allows the district to continue maintaining the integration between the existing rain gauge network and the NextRad radar data. It also provides web-accessible rainfall data to district personnel, archiving quality rainfall data, major rainfall event support, enhancement of web-based tools, and support for the district's hydraulic models, as well as any training that's required. View and Associates also provides QA/QC of our extensive fixed rain gauge network and notifies the district of issues found during the calibration process. After the amendment, the total contract appropriation for the radar rainfall data is $600,000, and the contract is renewable for up to 2 additional years based on performance. This is the tool, if you recall, like when we have an extreme weather event, we come back to you with these district-wide maps showing different colors and where the extreme weather was. This is the contract that allows us to do that work. Stormwater Asset Investigations 2025-14080. This is a district-wide contract appropriating additional funds and authorized staff to amend a contract. The ordinance authorized the district to amend a contract with Trek Design Group. The purpose of the contract is to provide district staff with detailed information regarding stormwater systems by performing services such as project inspection reconnaissance, field investigations of storm system instructions, inspection prioritization, field verification, map updates, asset ownerships, work order management, and post-inspection review. These services will form the basis for district-led preventive maintenance and rehabilitation system activities. These investigations also provide assistance for Operations Department with their sewer cleaning and manhole inspection activities. After this amendment, the total contract appropriation will be $2.4 million. The contract is renewable for up to 2 additional years based on performance. Trustee Wabi, you asked about how we go about identifying and working with the city and identifying when their systems become a problem for us. This is one of the main contracts we use for that. We have one like this for the wastewater system as well. So, next project is our stream flow gauge operation and maintenance, USGS 10766. It's also a district-wide contract. The work is to be done under the contract is to continue to collect stream gauging network for 25 watersheds. In fiscal year 2027, the USGS will continue the operation and maintenance of the existing network of 40 stream gauging stations and 25 watersheds within the district. Stream gauge water surface will be collected within stream discharges, flow rates determined for each gauging station. Stream gauge will be measured and recorded at 5-minute intervals and transmitted via satellite to the USGS and automatically downloaded into a database. Stage and discharge values will be displayed in real-time fashion on the USGS public website. We use this data for projects utilizing stream gauge information and stream discharge estimates such as water quality data evaluation, post-construction monitoring for CSO long-term control plan compliance, our Phase 2 stormwater program, stream bank stabilization projects, CSO LT long-term control plan evaluations, and stream geomorphic evaluations and stability, flood proofing and buyout evaluations, review and validation of private development projects, floodplain studies, flood compliant evaluations, operations support, our legal department defenses and support, stormwater and waste watershed facilities planning. Any questions? Oh, the appropriation amount is $630,000, and there isn't an MWB goal for this project. Again, this is with the USGS. Any questions? Okay. The last two projects that I have bringing to you are related to condemnation authority requests. The first project is the Hampton Creek Sanitary Relief, Hanley Road to Folk Avenue, 14398. Both of these, all of the condemnations we're discussing are either in Brentwood or Maplewood. The ordinance necessary to allow staff to proceed with further condemnation efforts, including the filing of all necessary court pleadings or documents. And this is all related to the acquisition of permanent easements or temporary construction easements on 8 parcels of ground and the acquisition of 2 parcels of property located in Brentwood and Maplewood. Acquiring the permanent easements, temporary construction easements, and the 2 parcels of ground are needed to construct the project, which consists of the construction of approximately 7,130 feet of 8-inch to 72-inch in diameter sanitary and storm sewers and appurtenances, 6 junction chambers, creek stabilization, and other associated work. We need to do this project to eliminate 1 combined sewer overflow. The permanent easements, temporary construction easements, and 2 parcels of ground at issue have been appraised and offers have been made. Currently, we've been able to negotiate a settlement with all the owners. There were 29 parcels that were invested that we need easements or acquisitions for, and 21 of those we've come to terms, and we're in pretty good shape. We anticipate that we've got 6 parcels that we're going to need to take all the way through condemnation, and we're still hoping that 2 of those will come along, and we'll be able to negotiate terms there. There isn't any appropriation with this, but I will note that the planned appropriation for these authorizations will come later. That's planned in April 2027. Any questions? Thank you. These are some of the most complicated projects that we're doing at the district right now. This is all associated with our tunneling work and the connecting sewers to those tunnels. And so it's complicated and tedious.
Sure.
Well, one more project.
Oh, there's an update.
One more project.
Okay.
Harlem Basin Relief Phase 4, Hebert, Hody Mountain, Cherry Creek Trunk Sewer B 11798. Again, this is an authorization to proceed with further condemnation efforts, including the filing of court pleadings or documents. It's necessary to include all the filing of all court pleadings and documents related to the acquisition of permanent easement or temporary construction easements on 6 parcels of ground located in Wellston and Hillsdale. We have 29 different parcels on this project. We've been successful in getting 23 of those, and we have 4 that we're in ongoing negotiations and 2 that we're having trouble getting them to talk to us. So the owners are not responsive. And that's why we're needing to go to condemnation there. Any questions about that one?
Doesn't appear.
Okay. I think the last item for me on other business is a project update on our Biddle and Broadway Street. I'll just show you this picture because a good picture says 10,000 words, as they say. And quickly what's going on here. So first off, over here in this top right-hand corner, kind of, if you can see it's not working very good. I'm going to stand up there because I can. So first off, I'm going to talk about the bypass pumping. So that's this large black pipe up here at the right corner. We've had several large and significant rain events in the last month. That pumping system has kept up with all of those pumping, and also we have a gravity bypass system set up. So the combination of that two seems to be working pretty well. We haven't had backups or property damage associated with the project. That's great news. Most of the work over the last month has been focused on getting engineering plan approval with MoDOT, getting all those approvals, and also doing a lot of cleaning work where the collapse happened. As you can see in this picture right now, and I think it just kind of gives a flavor for what's going on. So what we're doing right now is this is the excavation work that we've been able to do with traditional excavation work, traditional excavation equipment, but we're getting to a point where we can only go so deep and keep it safe. And so now what we're doing is drilling these bridge piers, or drilling these piers that are going to allow us to build the shoring that we need in order to build the pipe. That's where all the work is. That's where most of the financial commitment is building that shoring system. Give you an idea. So those piers are 35 feet deep. They go into rock. The piers are 30 feet deep, and then they go into rock an additional 5 feet to anchor them. And we have about 35 of those to build. We can build about one or two we build one about every other day. So doing the math here, it's going to be a minute. We're probably going to be building this thing all the way through October. Putting the pipe in place is the easy part. Building the shoring to get this part done is the difficult part. As long as we're working down there, we're going to have streets shut down around the highway. Highway's open, of course, but all the side streets and whatnot, those are going to be shut down for a minute. You can just tell it's really tight. I mean, that's the top of that drill rig to the bottom of the span of the bridge is only a couple feet. And that's why it's one of the reasons this is really slow. So it's difficult to get in there. That's what we're up against. How are we doing on budget?
Yeah.
Great question. So I'm going to give you an update at the next meeting. We're okay right now. We're nowhere near our $5 million that we requested, but I will tell you that plans have changed, good and bad, over the last month as we've learned things. And I have the first thing. My next meeting this afternoon is about this. So, and we're kind of where we're at on project budget. So, yeah. Any questions?
Doesn't appear.
That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, the next tentative meeting date is September 1st, 2026. Can I get a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. We're out of here.
Trustee Evans, we'll get things set up for the Finance Committee, and we'll get going right at 8:30.
Sounds good.
Ready to begin.
Okay, we will call to order the 329th meeting of the Finance Committee. Can I get a roll call, please?
Yes, record will reflect that trustees Evans, Watson, and Nicholasison are present online. Trustees Wabi and Carrington are present in the room.
Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the June 30th meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, next item is the Vertex Business Systems Contract Renewal Resolution.
Good morning, trustees. Back in April of 2017, the board authorized the district to enter into a contract with Vertex Business Systems. Vertex at the time provided outsourced billing services, our call center information system, as well as our customer portal that customers use to go in and make payments on their bills. And so we extended the term of that contract, which was originally scheduled to end in September of 2022 to December of 2027. The rationale behind that extension was twofold. We were able to lock in some favorable pricing, and we also knew that we would be issuing an RFP to either upgrade that systems or to potentially replace it. And we're actually have issued that RFP. We have not received the responses back yet. We anticipate that even if we do an upgrade with the existing provider, or if we do completely replace that system, that it's going to take us at least a year and a half to get that work done. And so that work would not be completed until around December of 2028. So that's the reason that I'm coming to you today to ask for a one-year extension of the existing contract with Vertex, which is allowed under the terms of the ordinance that was previously passed. So are there any questions regarding that request?
When does the RFP close?
The RFP responses are actually due back in about 2 weeks. August the 18th, I think, is when we'll get the responses back. We anticipate bringing a recommendation to the board probably in January or February of next year. It's going to take us a little bit of time to evaluate those RFPs. We have demos that we'll conduct with the vendors that we select we will probably select from a short list and bring in about 3 vendors, and we'll have them to actually demo their product. Okay. Any additional questions?
So this is 4.9 million? Is that
4, I'm sorry.
For this extension?
Yes, the estimated cost would be about $4.9 million for that 1-year contract period that we would enter into with Vertex.
Why haven't we timed it better?
In terms of when the contract ends?
The RFP and yeah.
Number of reasons for that. One being that, and I'll cover this here in a minute, as indicated in this resolution here, at the time Vertex provided outsourced customer billing, or not billing, outsourced call center services. They spun that business unit off, and it went it's been through about 2 or 3 different providers since this time. And I'm going to discuss this here in a moment. That's the next resolution. But that call center is actually operated now by a company called Everise. And we're going to be looking to issue an RFP for those services as well. But to answer your original question about the timing of this, we actually thought at the time that we would be able to get this done in December of 2027. There were some timing-related issues in terms of when we wanted to kind of slot this within our capital budgets where it made sense for us to do this financially. And so we put this in the budget for FY 2027 to start. But we just, to be honest with you, probably underestimated the amount of time that we thought it would take to actually get the project done. And that was primarily on me. So that's why we're asking for the extension. We want to make sure that we have the services of both Vertex and the next organization that I'll mention, which is providing our call center operations. We want to have those services available to us for as long as it's going to take to get this project done.
Thanks.
Okay, so any additional questions regarding this particular item? Okay, so the next item that's up, as I mentioned a moment ago, Vertex previously provided our call center operations. That spun off now. There's a company called Everise that's doing that. And so we're asking for approval to extend that contract with Everise for that. A same additional 1-year period would go through the end of December of 2028. Again, that would allow us time to get the new systems in place that we're currently going to be evaluating the responses to that RFP within the next couple of weeks. So, any questions related to this resolution? Okay, thank you. I have the next item as well. That's our Adjustment Review Committee report. As required by the district's wastewater ordinance, I am required to bring to you this report, and it relates to any transactions, adjustments to customer accounts that we make that are over $5,000. So I do this on a quarterly basis. So the quarter that I will be covering on this report is from April of 2026 through June of 2026. So during this period, we had a grand total of 47 adjustments, which resulted in credits, a net credit balance posted to customers' accounts of approximately $675,000. We'll go up to the top section of the report. We had total adjustments of about 40 adjustments, which resulted in a net credit of $612,000 roughly. The bulk of those adjustments were due to water agency adjustments. There were 16 water agency adjustments, which resulted in credits of approximately $711,000. One of those credits was an adjustment that we made to a Boeing account, which was $533,000. So it was a large credit. And that credit was due to adjusted meter reads that we received from Missouri American Water, which covered almost a 1-year time period. So there's an issue with one of their meters. They went back, found that it was not functioning correctly, so we posted the corresponding adjustment that we needed to make on that account. Just so the trustees know, MSD, our billing, we rely on 3 water providers for all the data that we receive to make billings: Missouri American Water, City of St. Louis, and Kirkwood. So we do not own any of the data that we get. So again, we're completely reliant on these entities to provide us with that information. Next item I want to cover in the adjustments section, you'll see that there were non-encoding billing error adjustments. Those were actual billings of $259,000 approximately. So this is a debit adjustment that we made, which means that we actually billed these customers more. And these could be a number of different things. You could have errors that come in again through meter reads, various adjustments that we will find that the customer has requested and we've validated that needed to be done as well. We had 8 reduction factor adjustments, which resulted in net credits of $91,000 to 8 customer accounts. Again, these are studies that our Department of Environmental Compliance conducts. They'll go out, review the water usage for various customers, and they make a determination of how much of that water is entering into our sewer system. We will go back from the start of that study, and if that customer's due a credit adjustment, we'll make that credit adjustment. If they're due to be billed more, we will build them more as a result of that study. So that is what these particular items related to. Next section, the write-offs. There were 3 sheriff sales, which resulted in account write-offs of approximately $24,000. We had 4 land reutilization authority purchases, so we write off those balances. Those totaled credit of $38,000 roughly for those 4 accounts. And then finally, in the other section, these are actually customer billings that we do. We had 3 bills that we issued to the Bridgeton landfill, $10,000 each. We had 2 that we issued to the Missouri American Water, which totaled $696,000 approximately. Those billings to MOAM relate to their cost. We have a cost share agreement with them on our Lower Merrimack treatment plant. We measure the amount of flow that comes in from MOAM customers, and we bill them that percentage of flow based on the operating cost that occurred during that quarter. There's also a loan that they are responsible for paying, which related to upgrades that we made to the Lower Merrimack treatment plant. They pay their share of that loan to us, and we bill that as well. So are there any questions regarding the ARC report that I can address? Okay, thank you. That's all that I have.
All right, I've got the next 2 items. We'll start with the operating fund portfolio. So this is just a look at investment portfolio and performance as of kind of the end of last week. So our portfolio is $637 million. That's about $7 million less than last month. So we spent a little bit more than we brought in. Yields haven't changed a lot. We are continuing to see market interest rates go up, function of inflation expectations and things going on in the Middle East and the economy. So the benchmark, which turns over every month, moves, either up or down faster than our portfolio. In this case, it's moving up. It's gone up about 9 basis points, so from 413 to 422. Since we only turn over part of our portfolio, we don't get the full benefit of those increases right away, but we went from 395 to 397, so just a 2 basis point tick up. Weighted average maturity stayed, roughly the same. Each one of those moved about half a month's worth, so no big changes there. Credit quality is still good. We invest only in high-quality securities. On the sector allocation in the upper right, one change to note is that interest-bearing collateralized deposit at the top, that's a new entry. We've got a new bank account. Local bank came to us, said they could offer us a competitive interest rate. So we keep about $10 million just of liquid cash there. So it provides some liquidity if we needed to pull it back. It's competitive with our overnight investments that we make. So we're going to try that out for a little bit. So there's $10 million sitting there earning interest. Not big changes in the other pieces. Obviously, since we moved some money there, we had to take it out of somewhere else. The biggest drop is in the Fed agency bond notes, which are now close to 0, just 0.4%. That's down about 3 percentage points. Was almost 3.5 before. Roughly half of that went to the new bank account. And that bank account was already on our approved list, so there was no board action needed. This bank that had been approved by the board previously. And then the U.S. Treasury bond note is up a little bit over 1%. That's our safest investment. Returns have been good there, so that's where the bulk of our money is. Still hanging in around 20% on commercial paper. The fund summary in the bottom, really most of those changes are in the MSD operating line, which is the $620 million. That's the bulk of where our funds are. And then that little part under the dotted line in the bottom kind of tells you how those are split. So we've got roughly 15% of those funds in the general fund, roughly 5% in our permanent funds, which are some reserves, special revenue fund, which a lot of that is stormwater related, 23%. Capital projects is always our biggest fund. That's usually around 50% of those operating funds. At 56%, debt service only 1%. Right now we don't have a lot of debt service reserves because in May we made large payments for our senior bonds. Won't do that again until next May. And in July, just about a month ago, we made interest and principal payments for our state revolving fund loans. And that'll be another 6 months before those are due again. So kind of starting the reserves over, those will build up over time. Maturity distribution in the bottom right, that's just a graphical representation of the difference between our portfolio and the benchmark. We always have more in the 0 to 1 year because we're using funds to pay for projects and operating, whereas the benchmark is really focused in that 1 to 3 year range, as its name implies. So minor changes, no changes of more than 1.5% either way on either the benchmark or our maturities. Debt summary. We're going to have limited changes here, but I'm going to start in the upper left. We did draw a little bit over $20 million from some of our SRF loans. So the drawn amount in the subordinated bonds, kind of right in the middle, is up over $20 million. That means the total drawn's also up, and the remaining is down by roughly same amounts. So we still have $470+ million to draw on our existing SRF loans, and we still have $440+ million more of bonds we can issue under the current authorization from the ratepayers. The outstanding amount didn't change as much because we made principal payments. So we drew some more money from the bonds, but we also paid some back. So less than $2 million shift in the total amount outstanding, but outstanding bonds right now are almost $2.06 billion. There are really no changes in the upper right. We just finished the fiscal year June 30th. Takes a little bit longer to put the financial statements together. Normally, I would have some preliminary numbers before the end of the next month, but that is not the case when it comes to June. So we'll have some update next month, and then we'll also give you kind of a new projection for fiscal year 27, since that's now started. I didn't change anything on the medians. Those, hopefully we'll get some new median updates out from the rating agencies here in the next couple of months, and I can update that. So the next two boxes are ones that I'm kind of changing around. So this month I wanted to just talk a little bit, since we're getting ready to prepare the rate proposal, just talk a little bit about what we're seeing in performance versus current rate proposal. And also what is different now versus 4 years ago. I'm going to keep this to debt, since this is a debt summary page. So I'm going to start in the bottom right. 4 years ago, over the last 4 years, interest rates have changed quite a bit. So you can see in those first couple of lines, the low interest rates for 5, 10, 20, and 30-year MMD rates. MMD is the benchmark rate for tax-exempt bonds. It's not the rate at which we borrow. There's a spread on top of that, but that's the bulk of the rate. We're listed there. They range from 1.75 on a 5-year note to 2.8 in a 30-year. The high mark has been 3.5 to 4.80, so significant variance over time. The lines below that show you where rates were 4 years ago versus roughly today. And you can see that 4 years ago, they were at the low. So when we were projecting interest rates for new debt in the last rate proposal, we were at a very low rate environment. Today, rates aren't at the high they've been in the last 4 years, but they're near the high. So when we predict debt costs, we are going to have higher forecasts for those costs for senior bonds. So that's the capital market bonds. We can temper that a little bit by projecting more debt from the SRF program. So historically, we've projected, say, roughly $30 million a year because it's a competitive program. We've gotten more than that. We're having constructive conversations with the DNR, with the SRF program, with engineering. So Bart on Jay's team and I talk to DNR regularly. And so I'm comfortable that we can forecast more than that $30 million. That will help temper rates. So just to give you an idea, if I did a 30-year bond in the capital markets, we're probably looking at a yield of 4.5%, maybe a little bit more percent. From the SR program, all in would be about 2%. So significant difference. The difference is capital markets is almost unlimited capital. I can get everything I need there. SRF program is limited. I can't get everything I need there.
What is the limitation of the SRF?
Well, so
Can we project that, or?
They've got a limited amount of funds. So you've
Right.
got all the money, it's a revolving fund, so all the money that comes back into the program, so principal and interest from borrowers, of which we are the largest. Matter of fact, I just looked at their 2025 annual report. Currently, the bulk of the loans go out as something called direct loans. So since 2010, they've had this direct loan program, and they've issued almost $2.7 billion. About 1.6 of that has come to MSD, has been committed to MSD. I mean, we're talking about 60% of the program.
Their program.
Of their program is MSD. So they get money from the federal government, although that is, in this administration, has always been contentious. The SRF capitalization grants have been something that have been, bandied about in the different bills to fund various programs. They can issue bonds. Matter of fact, they just issued bonds this week, but they were refunding bonds to lower their costs. It wasn't new money to capitalize the program. And then obviously the money that's coming back into the program. So, they come up with an amount every year. And that's one of the hard parts about projecting is while we're having good conversations with them, they have annual periods for submitting applications, for review, and then for saying whether or not you get the funds. So, they may be comfortable that they'll be able to continue to fund our programs, but it's still a year by year kind of thing. But
Do we look at the, do we consider our competition for those funds? I mean, does Kansas City Water or something?
yeah, so again, just I'm taking numbers from the 2025. I do look at who else is borrowing. Again, we've gotten, say, 60% of the direct loans since 2010. If you look at those loans, the average loan is, say, $10 million. So most entities going to them are asking for $10 million. Sometimes they're 5, sometimes they're 20. Our average is 80. I mean, we're bigger, we're ready to go. We have the biggest capital program. We're one of the highest rated borrowers, so it behooves, as a matter of fact, when they just issued their bonds this week, I think they're pricing today maybe, so they're issuing them this week. They list one material borrower in their materials, and that's MSD. So sometimes concentration's an issue, but if you're gonna be concentrated, you want it to be on an entity that has the high credit ratings that we have. That gives them comfort. So it is something, and it's one of the reasons we talk to them all the time, because if we're gonna rely on them, we wanna make sure they're comfortable with us. We wanna make sure they're comfortable with the program as it stands, and so far they are. I mean, if they lost, for example, federal capitalization money, if money didn't come in, they could still operate. It may be at a reduced level. If they had to borrow, if they had to go out to the market and borrow funds to fund the program, it could change the way that they subsidize loans, so it could change interest rates. As of now, those are things they think about, but right now there's no plans for that. So right now we feel comfortable that it's kind of business as usual.
And so we can assume that we're going to rely for the next cycle on SRF to fund half,
so
60%?
Half would be excellent. So what we've talked to them about, we're roughly halfway through the consent decree. The back half of the consent decree is going to be dominated by the large tunnel projects that Jay, mentioned here. I mean, we're talking $2 to $2.5 billion maybe.
Yeah, the limitation with the state revolving fund, in my opinion, is not the amount of dollars, but the size of the package of the project we bring to them. The larger the projects we bring to them, the more attractive they are to them and to us. There's administrative cost to running these SRF. You don't want to take out an SRF loan for a $5 million loan. You want to do those for $40 million, $60 million, $100 million, whatever it is. That's why we're funding the fluidized bed incineration projects, the nutrient control projects, the tunnels that are coming. Those are the kinds of projects that are most attractive. So it's the 80-20 rule, right? We're getting 80, the bulk of our projects that are coming up are these larger projects that make nice projects for the state revolving fund. And as far as the future looking, I mean, we certainly see what's happening at the federal level, but one is Missouri's congressional delegation has been pretty successful listening to us and all the other folks in Missouri about the importance of the state revolving fund. And while the president's budget has, regularly cut and significantly cut those funds. Congress has restored them. And then this last month, the Senate Environment Public Works Committee, as part of the WRDA bill that's supposed to come later in this year, proposed actually an increase over what was initially thought we might get, which is nationally about $3.3 billion. So, and about 2% of that comes back to Missouri. All that's to say, Missouri's should be in a pretty good position capitalization-wise to be able to fund the state revolving fund, as long as we can come up with projects that everybody agrees make sense for them and us.
Okay. Infrastructure is an issue across the country. So luckily, Congress, all their constituents all across the country need funding. So that's, it's been protected. That's helpful.
The reason, the whole idea here is to keep our rates low.
Yes,
So,
and that's where SRF comes in.
Yeah.
And we're actually at the point now where we haven't quite drawn more than half of our debt from SRF yet, but we're getting close, and we'll get there with the fluidized bed incinerator. For the next 2 years, well, I'll talk a little about that in the next. So now I'm going to move to the bottom left, which is the biggest square there. So if we look at versus our 23 rate proposal projection. So the current rate cycle is fiscal years 25 through 28. We're right in the middle. But when we make those projections, we're doing them roughly a year and a half to 2 years before that cycle starts. So it's really 6 years of projections, because it gives us a chance to take what we know about these last couple of years in the current that are coming up in the current rate cycle, and change our assumptions based on what we know, rate environment, inflation environment, that sort of thing. But I'm going to focus on debt pieces. Let's start with the CIRP. For that 6-year period, we were looking at appropriating roughly $2.5 billion of capital. We're a little bit under that, less than 200 million. Under 200 million is a big number, but that's, say, 8% of the overall plan, and that is pretty normal when you're talking about timing of these projects. Sometimes gets moved, projects come in under budget, sometimes projects get canceled, sometimes they get added, but that number is not unusual. As far as debt issuance, right now we've issued less debt than we forecast. However, we've got, say, 170 million budgeted for fiscal year 27, another 150 to 60, I think, in 28. So if we do issue those, timing of debt always depends on timing of the capital plan. We could end up actually issuing slightly more debt than we had expected. That, again, is just a function of having more SRF available. When we have SRF available, we want to take advantage of it, just because the rate is so low and the savings are significant to the ratepayers. So it wouldn't surprise me if we're pretty much right on track. We're not going to be more than 50 million over out of a planned 1.4 billion. So pretty much expected to be on track there. But the key number is that our debt service forecast is significantly below where we thought we would be. And that, again, is a function of getting SRF for the fluidized bed incinerators. We did not expect that. Matter of fact, I canceled a higher cost loan when the state came and said we can fund this whole thing. So we're looking right now at roughly 130 million less debt service paid out over this period than what we expected. That's 130 million that we do not have to collect in the next rate cycle. That is significant. That's not the only piece that obviously is moving around. I just kind of wanted to focus on debt here. And I know I've mentioned that before. I'm not, maybe, I know since you're newer, Trustee Carrington, maybe you haven't heard it, but the performance we have now impacts what we need to ask for in the next period, as well as our forecast for the next period. So that's what we'll be working on relatively soon, is starting to put together actually rate proposals. The plan is to deliver it in March of next year. So you'll hear more about that as this year goes along. But from a debt standpoint, I think we are in really good shape because of these SRF loans, because of my comfort that we're going to continue to get SRF and more than what we've kind of projected in the past. That'll help moderate the higher interest rate environment we're seeing. All right, I talked 15 minutes longer than I was supposed to.
No, I think it's useful. Thank you. Trustee Evans?
Okay, the next tentative meeting date is September 1st. Can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
So move.
Second.
Oh, thank you.
All right, Trustee Nick. Position, we're ready to begin the stakeholder committee meeting.
All righty. I'd like to call to order the 204th meeting of the Stakeholder Relations Committee. Can I get a roll call?
Yes, record will reflect that trustees Nick Azisson, Watson, and Evans are present online. Trustees Carrington and Wabi are present in the room.
Thank you. There are no comments by the chair. Approval. Can I get approval of committee meeting minutes, June 30th, 2026?
So move.
Second.
Thank you. First, we have a discussion by Shauna Paredes regarding a resolution for a workforce development program. Shauna?
Good morning. This morning, I'm requesting approval for a construction form for a 1-year base period for our workforce development program for professional services. This contract continues work under MSD's Community Benefits Agreement in addressing barriers for low-income, unemployed, and underemployed as a training gateway for entry-level positions in the professional services area within the sewer industry. The current program is administered by Construction Forum as an approved U.S. Department of Labor registered apprenticeship program offering survey technician and materials technician certifications. In this past year, in our first year of the contract, 12 candidates entered the program and are currently working full-time towards obtaining their certification. We have 6 survey technician and 6 material technicians currently in the program. And then Construction Forum is the intermediary and administers the program model. They also conduct targeted outreach, they hold workshops, and they work directly with our pre-qualified professional services vendors that are currently participating in our capital program. And so this contract is requesting approval of their first of 4 base years of their contract. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Shauna. Next, we have a discussion by Todd Oshbacher regarding a resolution for insurance, brokerage, and consultant services. Todd?
Good morning. Thank you. Trustees, at the August board meeting, staff will present to you for consideration resolution number 4033. This concerns insurance brokerage and consulting services. This resolution will authorize the district to exercise its renewal option of the third renewal option of the district's contract with Thomas McGee Group. Thomas McGee handles our risk management and insurance brokerage and consulting services. This will extend the contract for the period September 1, 26 through August 30, 2027. Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Todd. Next, we have a discussion by Tracy Coleman regarding an ordinance for the district's classification plan.
Good morning, trustees. Have an introduction and adoption of ordinance 16880, which is the classification plan. There are some updates being made to this plan with regarding to the operations department. They have two new positions. One is a planner scheduler fleet. The other position is operations purchasing agent. Operations chose to remove the position of warehouse buyer. And in the executive director's office, we had an office associate position moved from that division to the operations division. That concludes those changes, and those changes have also been approved by the Civil Service Commission. Are there any questions?
I just have the same question I had the last time we had this. How many people are affected?
When it comes to, I don't have that exact number. When it comes to the warehouse buyer, a lot of them became, I think we're talking about 2 or 3 employees. The planner scheduler fleet, I would have to probably ask Brian. Is it one person for planner scheduler fleet? So these are, impacts are small, and I'll make sure that I have that prepared the next time we make a change. Are there any other questions? Well, thank you.
With none being heard, thank you, Tracy. Next, we have a discussion by Brett Berthold regarding an ordinance for rate commission organizations.
Thank you, thank you, Trustee Nikozison. There will be on the agenda at the next board meeting for introduction and adoption, ordinance number 16879, and this will establish the organizations that will be part of our next rate setting process. So I just want to go through a little bit of background here, and then I'll get to the organization. So we currently have rates set for fiscal year through fiscal year 28. The rate proposal that we are going to submit to the commission in March of 2027 will cover fiscal years 29 through 32. If you would like more detail with regards to the number of organizations and the rules that we need to follow, I would refer you to our charter and its sections. It's in section 7 where it deals with how we handle the rate commission. We will be submitting only a wastewater rate proposal. The last time we went to the rate commission, we had a stormwater rate proposal also. We are not going to do that this year. We feel it is too soon to go back to the commission with a proposed stormwater rate. We need some more time with the current program to mature before we determine whether or not there's an appetite to go back and potentially increase funding for stormwater projects. So it'll only be a wastewater rate proposal this go around.
So when we go back to the rate commission and ultimately to the voters, is there a reason? Should we consider going back on storm only 2 years from now, or do we want to keep them?
Well, just from I guess, convenience, nothing would stop us from going back a year from now on stormwater. We can go and convene the rate commission whenever we feel we have the need to adjust rates. We've been trying to do it on a 4-year cycle with wastewater. We were just successful with stormwater, but if there is potentially a great outcry for increased funding for stormwater, we could go back sooner than every 4 years.
But does it make sense? It makes sense, though, to keep them on the same term.
It does. I mean, I won't be shy. It is a very time-consuming and detailed process, and takes a real commitment from the organizations to provide a delegate and have them serve on the commission. So we've tried to line them up. Don't have to necessarily do that, but that's the reason.
Got it. Thank you.
So from a timeline standpoint, you know, we need to set the organizations. We're going to do that in August here if you approve this. What has to take place after that is the commission will begin meeting. They will need to elect their chair, their vice chair, their secretary. They will need to appoint their committees. They will have some RFPs to review. They will need to hire a rate consultant, a law firm, and a public relations firm to serve the rate commission. That will take place between September and February. Our goal is to submit our proposal to the rate commission in March of 2027. Okay? Once we do that, per the rules laid out in the charter, we start a 165-day clock where we will go through all of the hearings, meetings, you know, everything that needs to take place. But at the end of that 165-day period, the commission will need to submit a recommendation to the board, okay? Once they submit a recommendation, the board, there's a 45-day, you know, period where nothing can happen. The board needs to consider it. But after that, the board will either be able to accept, reject, or modify what the commission has presented. So that really gets us into, you know, the 165-day period takes us to late August, early September of 2027. You know, you had 45 days in there. Now you're getting down out into, you know, October, November to complete the process. So that's generally the timeline. Yes, then we'll get to the point where an ordinance will actually come to the board to set the rates for the next 4-year period, 4-year fiscals. What the ordinance outlines here is the organizations that are going to be part of the rate commission. We've been working on this. There's a total of 15. I'll start with the ones that have the time period of February 1st, 2021 through January 31 of 2027. They're set up for a 6-year period. These terms are unexpired, and all 5 of those organizations have indicated that they wish to participate in the next rate commission process, rate setting process. It's the Associated General Contractors, the Engineers Club of St. Louis, the Greater St. Louis Labor Council, City of Ladue, and the Home Builders Association of Greater St. Louis. The other 10 organizations, some have served on our commission before, some have not, but they include the Missouri Industrial Energy Consumers, North American Building Trades Union, the Municipal League of Metro St. Louis, Open Spaces, the Consumer Council of Missouri, Education Plus, St. Louis Realtors, League of Women Voters, City of Bellefontaine Neighbors, and Site Improvement Association. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions, but that'll be the ordinance, the organizations for introduction and adoption at the August board meeting. Hearing none. Trustee Nikozison, thank you.
All right, thank you, Brett. Now I need a motion to go into closed session to discuss legal actions, causes of action, or litigation under section 610.021.1 RSMO.
So move.
Second.
Second?
All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Trustee Carrington?
Yes.
Trustee Watson?
Yes.
Trustee Evans?
Trustee Nicholasison, we're ready to come out of closed session.
Okay, can I get a motion and a second to come out of closed session?
Second.
So moved.
Motion.
All right, we're back in
All
open
right.
session.
We're back in open session. All right, thank you. Next meeting date is Tuesday, September 1st, 2026. Can I get a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Thank you, everyone. Everyone have a good remainder of their day.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank
You too.
Thank you.
You too.